and I'm black. To you.
There, you're on YouTube.
You can see me?
Yeah.
But can you see you?
I can hear you and I can see you on YouTube Live.
Can you see yourself?
Yeah.
All right. Good afternoon, DCVA. I'm not sure what's happening today. We actually have Mr. Vantine with us to bring you greetings, but he's having trouble. It's not working. It's not showing up. So lucky you, you get me again today. All right. So, welcome to day 2 of Read Across America for our DCVA middle school students. And as promised, we will provide you with grade level books, some of our favorites that we think that you will enjoy. And so, our goal is we can't read the whole book, but our hope and our goal is that there is a book or a parts of books that resonate with you that you will want to go grab that book and read it for yourself. So for today, our book is going to be The Watsons Go to Birmingham, 1963 by Christopher Paul Curtis. And it is the winner of the Newbery Medal and the Coretta Scott King Award. One of my favorite books. I used to read it with my 6th and 8th graders every single year just because it is so hilarious, but it also gives us a glimpse into American history. And so I would love for you to put in the chat with your teachers if you've read The Watsons Go to Birmingham 1963 before. And while you're doing that, I'm looking at the books that you are adding to the chat, and I am loving these books. Holes is one of my favorite. Dork Diaries, um, The Hunger Games, The Outsiders. Oh wow, Gracie. Harry Potter. Oh, I'm a huge Harry Potter fan. As a matter of fact, remember tomorrow is character day, and although I felt like it would be too hot to dress up in my full Harry Potter regalia, I will have a glimpse of Harry Potter on tomorrow. The Skin I'm In. Oh, Gavin, yes. I actually was thinking about reading an excerpt from The Skin I'm In as well. So great. All right, so not many people have. Oh wow, so this is going to be a treat if you have never read or listened to The Watsons Go to Birmingham 1963. So we're going to jump right in it so that we don't take too much time away from your academic time. All right, so let me do another quick share. Oh, Wyatt the Giver. Yes, I love The Giver. And I know eighth graders have just finished reading that with Miss Tomlinson. And I almost, which I might still do. So I was actually going to read book 2 in that series, Gathering Blue. That was another excerpt I was thinking about. You all are really, I'm loving the books that you're adding into the chat. All right, so here we go with The Watsons Go to Birmingham 1963. For the and I can't read all of it. I can just read an excerpt. I can't even read the whole first chapter, which is my favorite chapter because it is hilarious. So I'm hoping that after you listen to it, you'll decide to grab that book up and read it yourselves. So let's go. And you wonder why we get called the Weird Watsons. It was one of those super duper cold Saturdays. One of those days that when you breathed out, your breath kind of hung frozen in the air like a hunk of smoke, and you could walk along and look exactly like a train blowing out big, fat, white puffs of smoke. It was so cold that if you were stupid enough to go outside, your eyes would automatically blink 1,000 times all by themselves, probably so the juice inside of them wouldn't freeze up. It was so cold that if you spit, the slob would be an ice cube before it hit the ground. It was about a zillion degrees below zero. It was even cold in our house. We put sweaters and hats and scarves and 3 pairs of socks on and still were cold. The thermostat was turned all the way up and the furnace was banging and sounding like it was about to blow up, but it still felt like Jack Frost had moved in with us. All of my family sat real close together on the couch under a blanket. Dad said this would generate a little heat, but he didn't have to tell us this. It seemed like the cold automatically made us want to get together and huddle up. My little sister, Joetta, sat in the middle, and all you could see were her eyes because she had a scarf wrapped around her head. I was next to her, and on the outside was my mother. Mama was the only one who wasn't born in Flint, so the cold was coldest to her. All you could see were her eyes, too, and they were shooting bad looks at Dad. She always blamed him for bringing her all the way from Alabama to Michigan, a state she called a giant icebox. Dad was bundled up on the other side of Joey, trying to look at anything but Mama. Next to Dad, sitting with a little space between them, was my older brother, Byron. Byron had just turned 13, so he was officially a teenage juvenile delinquent and didn't think it was cool to touch anybody or let anyone touch him, even if it meant he death. Byron had tucked the blanket between him and Dad down into the cushion of the couch to make sure he couldn't be touched. Dad turned on the TV to try to make us forget how cold we were, but all that did was get him in trouble. There was a special news report on Channel 12 telling about how bad the weather was, and Dad groaned when the guy said, "If you think it's cold now, wait until tonight. The temperature is expected to drop into record low territory, possibly reaching the negative 20s. In fact, we won't see anything above zero for the next 4 or 5 days." He was smiling when he said this, but none of the Watson family thought it was funny. We all looked over at Dad. He just shook his head and pulled the blanket over his eyes. Then the guy on TV said, "Here's a little something we can use to brighten our spirits and give us some hope for the future. The temperature in Atlanta, Georgia is forecast to reach." Dad coughed real loud and jumped off the couch to turn the TV off, but we all heard the weatherman say, "The mid 70s." The guy might as well have tied Dad to a tree and said, "Ready, aim, fire." Mama said, "That's 150 miles from home." "Willona," Dad said. "I knew it," Mama said. "I knew I should have listened to Moses Henderson." "Who?" I asked. Dad said, "Oh, Lord, not that sorry story. You've got to let me tell about what happened with him." Mama said, "There's not a whole lot to tell, just a story about a young girl who made a bad choice. But if you do tell it, make sure you get all the facts right." We all huddled as close as we could get because we knew Dad was going to try to make us forget about being cold by cutting up. Me and Joey started smiling right away, and Byron tried to look cool and bored. "Kids," Dad said, "I almost wasn't your father. You guys came real close to having a clown for a daddy named Hambone Henderson." "Daniel Watson, you stop right there. You're the one who started that Hambone nonsense. Before you started that, everyone called him his Christian name, Moses. And he was a respectable boy too. He wasn't a clown at all." But the name stuck, didn't it? Hambone Henderson. Me and your granddaddy called him that because the boy had a head shaped just like a ham bone, had more knots and bumps on his head than a dinosaur. So as you guys sit here giving me these dirty looks because it's a little chilly outside, ask yourselves if you'd rather be a little cool or go through life being known as the Hambonettes. Me and Joey cracked up. Byron kind of chuckled and Mama put her hand over her mouth. She did this whenever she was going to give a smile because she had a great big gap between her front teeth. If Mama thought something was funny, first you'd see her trying to keep her lips together to hide the gap. Then, if the smile got to be too strong, you see the gap for a hot second before Mama's hand would come up to cover it. Then she'd crack up too. Laughing only encouraged Dad to cut up more. So when he saw the whole family thinking he was funny, he really started putting on a show. He stood in front of the TV. "Yup, Hambone Henderson proposed to your mother around the same time I did. Fought dirty too. Told your mama a pack of lies about me, and when she didn't believe them, he told her a pack of lies about Flint." Dad started talking Southern style, imitating this Hambone guy. "Willona, I heard tell about the weather up that far north in Flint, Michigan. Heard it's colder than the inside of icebox. Seen a movie about it. Think it was made in Flint. Movie called Nanook of the North. Yup, do believe for sure it was made in Flint. Uh-huh, Flint, Michigan. Folks, they're living these things called igloos. According to what I've seen in this here movie, most of the folks in Flint is Chinese. Don't believe I seen now one color person in the whole dang city. You a Bama gal. Don't believe you be too happy living in no igloo. Ain't got nothing against them, but don't believe you be too happy living amongst a whole slew of Chinese folks. Don't believe you like the food. Only thing them Chinese folks in that movie ate was whales and seals. Don't believe you like no whale meat. Don't taste a lick like chicken. Don't taste like pork at all. Mama pulled her hand away from her mouth. "Daniel Watson, you are one lying man. Only thing you said that was true was that being in Flint is like living in an igloo. I knew I should have listened to Moses. Maybe these babies would have been born with lumpy heads, but at least they'd have had warm, lumpy heads. You know, Birmingham is a good place, and I don't mean just the weather either. The life is slower, the people are friendlier." "Oh, yeah," Dad interrupted. "They're a laugh a minute down there. Let's see, where was that colors only bathroom downtown?" "Daniel, you know what I mean. Things aren't perfect, but people are more honest about the way they feel." She took her mean eyes off Dad and put them on Byron. "And folks there do know how to respect their parents." Byron rolled his eyes like he didn't care. All he did was tuck the blanket farther into the couch's cushion. Dad didn't like the direction the conversation was going, so he called the landlord for the 100th time. The phone was still busy. "That snake in the grass has got his phone off the hook. Well, it's too cold. It's going to be too cold to stay here tonight. Let me call Sydney. She just had that new furnace put in. Maybe we could spend the night there. Aunt Sydney was kind of mean, but her house was always warm, so we kept our fingers crossed that she was home. Everyone, even Byron, cheered when Dad got Aunt Sydney and she told us to hurry over before we froze to death. And I am going to stop here for the excerpt. I didn't even really get to the real funny part, which is what I love. So I'm hoping that you'll think, okay, this book might be funny enough for me to try to attempt to read, because it is, like I said, one of my favorite books that I used to love to read with my middle school students. So today's challenge focuses on character. In the book, we've met the Watsons. We've met our narrator, which we don't know his name yet, but I'm going to tell you guys. His name is Kenny. And then we've met his family, his dad and mom, his brother Byron, and his little sister Joetta. Based on what we've heard so far, I want you to do a character map of one of the characters. And so, who do you think would be a good person to do that from? Who have we heard a little bit about? We heard a little bit about Byron, because Kenny called him a teenage juvenile delinquent. We've heard from Dad and Mom, and Dad tells funny stories and tries to keep everybody happy. And then we've also heard from our narrator, Kenny, and we get a viewpoint, a little bit of what he's like. All right. So today's goal is to create a character sketch of one of the characters. I want you to draw them as you think they are, or stick figures like I would do. And then let's add some character traits around them to see if our inferences are true as we continue with the story. So today is team day, and my team, the Washington Commanders, are new, and so I don't have any paraphernalia for today, but I'm wearing my Let's Read shirt today. How many of you are in team shirts? And drop in the chat to your teachers what shirts, what teams you're repping today. And while you're doing that, I'm looking through the chat. So I see where Aaliyah says she loves books by Sharon Draper. I do too. And one of my good friends actually went to the high school where Sharon Draper was an English teacher. She says that everybody would talk about the dreaded Draper paper that she would make all of her students write. So Miss Coker's representing Carolina Gamecocks, Dr. Sprav, Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm also a Los Angeles Lakers fan. Anthony, Dallas Cowboys. Oh, poor thing. My husband is a big Dallas Cowboys fan too. All right, so as they're coming into the chat, I just want to say or remind everybody that tomorrow is Character Day. So you can dress up in as your favorite character in a t-shirt of your favorite character, a book character, but we would love to hear of who you connect with. All right, thanks, Avery, Miami Dolphins. Miss McKenzie, Atlanta Braves. I guess I'll show the Dallas Cowboys name. And that will conclude day 2 of our Read Across America experience for our middle school students. And we will see you tomorrow. Same bat time, same bat channel. You guys have a great afternoon.